Liam never expected that the one who had been blocking him and Titus was actually himself in a past life, only to reveal the truth of everything. His past self, after countless efforts, had relied on the mountain spirit's power to bring Liam here. The truth was known only to him. When a serpent and a human fall in love, a second pearl appears in the human's body. For a python to transform into a dragon and ascend, it must merge with the pearl within the human, a celestial trial ordained for the serpent. But the serpent couldn't bear to take the human's life. They all had to pay a painful price. The human constantly faced calamities, even having the chance at reincarnation stripped away. In the end, to exchange for the human's chance at reincarnation, the serpent carried away a portion of their own life force, which had been corrupted and tortured deep within the mountain for hundreds of years. In truth, the heavenly punishment had already ended. There was nothing left to repay. Liam felt puzzled. Then what about the misfortune on you? His past self had been in deep sorrow, because the human didn't want the story to end. When exhausted, they begged the divine, hoping to meet again, to love again, and to live happily together. Just before the moment of death, the pearl within the body fulfilled their wish, but simultaneously, the originally pure pearl was infiltrated by other forces. It turned out that the price of fulfilling the wish was a next life full of misfortune and despair. Hearing this, Liam realized his next life had been bought with all of Titus's power. The misfortune was the consequence of his own and Titus's wish, and Titus had always considered it his fault. Liam still hesitated. Then in the next life, does your body still have the pearl? The pearl remained in Liam's body. Only its previous owner could sense it. No one else knew. That was why the pearl had guided Liam to awaken the sleeping Titus. Liam's past self also blamed himself. His greed had created misfortune. It was his karmic retribution, which also made Titus live in regret. Liam felt helpless. If we keep carrying this misfortune, can we truly be happy? His past self immediately said, as long as Titus uses his power to contain the misfortune, it will be fine. It wasn't the second pearl exactly, but rather half of his pearl. Titus's body currently held only half, and after hundreds of years, its power had gradually weakened. If the two halves were combined, the power would be immense, and it would also be the key to dispelling the misfortune. Liam didn't yet know how to make the two halves harmonize. Titus certainly couldn't remove the pearl from his body, but Liam quickly sighed in relief. You won't leave again like the past life full of regrets. You'll live well with Titus every day, and we'll find a way to return the pearl to you. Even so, neither of them had found a solution yet. Suddenly, Liam remembered the question from the new team leader. Does your lover have 2 pearls? He must know something. Even if he joked, he would never speak carelessly. Liam's past self was delighted. It seems you found a way. That day, the new team leader was about to leave work, satisfied with his progress, though missing a core idea. Fortunately, Liam's thoughts aligned with his. What a pity. Suddenly, a voice came from the back seat. Don't you realize there's someone in the back? How could someone like that help us solve the problem? The new team leader froze. Why are you all in my car? Liam explained, Sorry, Leonard, we had an urgent matter to ask you about. So, can you come find me more often? You can't call directly? Liam wanted to, but his phone had just fallen into water and broken. The new team leader didn't want to dwell. Fine, what do you want to ask? Liam summarized the situation with him and Titus. Remember when you asked me if your lover had 2 pearls? You're not just joking with me, are you? Titus was furious, but the new team leader was amused. Well, there's a bit of jest. It's fun to see him get angry. However, I don't have a pearl. I only have one that carries magical power. These matters, the python knows better than anyone. Liam knew the simplest solution. Removing the pearl directly from his body would kill him. So, the python wanted a mutually beneficial way. The new team leader pondered. Does a pearl have to be merged for a python? Liam confirmed immediately. Exactly. I don't know if I can help. If I wanted to merge the pearls, I could just swallow him whole. Titus couldn't contain himself. This white serpent, is it dead? And dares to tease my wife again? The new team leader didn't miss the chance to show off before Titus, but also didn't dare anger him. In truth, the older a goblin grows, the stronger it becomes. The only way to gain strength is by continuously swallowing other goblins. absorbing the power from their pearls. In Liam's body, the pearl was like a magical pearl, so direct absorption was the most effective method. That's why I said, take a bite. I wasn't joking. The new team leader said, making Titus want to leap. Liam, don't listen to him.
Isn't that the same as killing you directly?
But it was a little unfair to the white serpent. I didn't say nonsense.
I was just sharing some knowledge about monster ecology. Titus immediately interrupted.
If that's the case, I'd rather just kill Liam outright.
The new team leader calmly continued. Though I'm not a great demon, I practiced this way.
One day, I swallowed half of a monster.
At first, out of curiosity and interest in humans, I spat it out.
Guess what? It survived.
Because it had absorbed all the power, it returned to human form. Liam immediately understood. You mean, if you swallow it and then spit it out at the right time, it will be okay, right?
The new team leader seriously explained, you must know, the half that is spat out later often has damaged legs.
I also tried a few others, but most died.
On the last attempt, its spine broke. If the strength is not applied correctly while swallowing, it could cause permanent injury or instant death, and your body carries misfortune. This method is extremely risky. Both fell silent.
Especially Titus, who had never swallowed a monster before.
Feeling deeply discouraged. When they returned home, the silence continued. They knew the method, but the risk was unbearable. That night, Liam stood alone on the balcony, breathing in the cold air. Titus draped a blanket over Liam's shoulders. It's so cold.
Why are you standing here?
Are you angry with me? Liam looked at him. Do you remember the lake you took me to before I woke up? Was it real?
Titus was stunned.
Liam would normally advise him not to speak of things that were difficult to achieve. Liam smiled bitterly. Because if it were me, I couldn't do it either. I've thought a lot from your perspective.
If you became a small snake, could I swallow you safely?
And spit you out, would it hurt you? Just thinking about it is terrifying, and I couldn't convince myself.
Of course, if I told you, it would be fine. Swallow me, then spit me out. But if it fails, or it turns tragic, it's too cruel to you.
Leaving you alone in this world, how much would you hurt and blame yourself? Yet Liam continued, even so, I don't want to give up the last hope. I'm sorry, forgive my selfishness. Titus understood Liam fully.
He knew Liam would not give up.
You want to go see the lake?
Actually, that was my plan in real life. I intended to take you there.
The only problem was Liam's unlucky body, so she planned to bring the tattooed neighbor along. Hearing that Liam wanted to go abroad, the tattooed neighbor immediately fumed. You just got into an accident at work. Don't even mention going abroad.
Liam blushed. I know it's dangerous. Could I ask you to come with us?
The tattooed man was far from pleased.
You intend to make me a lucky charm?
What about my scheduled clients if I come with you? At that moment, Titus directly opened a suitcase in front of him, stuffed with money, leaving the tattooed man gaping. In no time, he grabbed the suitcase and asked, how should we arrange it? When do we leave? And so the group boarded a plane overseas. The tattooed neighbor didn't know Liam's true plan, assuming they just wanted to visit a scenic spot. Still, he didn't trust Liam and sneaked a glance at him. Don't be fooled. He looks innocent, but at home he's extreme. I'm embarrassed just as a neighbor. Just treat them as hired bodyguards, Titus said. Upon arrival, the two went to a wooden lakeside cabin. Unlike the dream, there was no villa here.
But when Liam saw the cozy interior, he was still amazed and moved. They ate a little, chatted in fragments.
But when thinking about facing tomorrow's events, Liam couldn't help but ask, are you worried?
Titus knew he couldn't lie to Liam. Honestly, my mind is always troubled by these thoughts. Liam took hold of his hand.
All bad thoughts, right? I'm scared too. Can I hug you? So I don't have to think about those things anymore. Titus couldn't refuse. No further words were needed. Even if tomorrow held life or death fate, tonight would be etched in their hearts.
Fully sensing each other's presence. They did everything they wanted, so even facing mortality,
there would be no regrets. Looking at the scene before them, the lake from the dream, Liam thought, being swallowed by him here isn't so bad. This place is too beautiful. Titus suddenly spoke. Can I ask you something? When I swallow you, I'll try to control my body so fear doesn't hurt you. But if something goes wrong, please allow me to follow you inside.
Liam understood and simply nodded with a smile. Titus focused all his spirit, revealing his original form at its best state. It was the first time Liam saw him with such a grand mindset. Titus lowered his tongue,
and Liam immediately embraced his head, silently encouraging and comforting him. I'm ready.
Let's begin. Liam closed his eyes, feeling his body lifted into the air and then plunged into darkness. Titus's body was cold, stifling, but Liam didn't dare feel fear. If he worried,
Titus would sense it. Moreover, entrusting your body to the one you love, what could be more frightening? Suddenly, Liam's consciousness was pulled into another space, where he saw Titus murmuring to himself, "Do not give up ascension.
Let go of attachment.
Prove yourself." The Pearl also recognized Liam,
but dared not approach for fear of harming him. Yearning for ascension,
Titus felt both regret and self-blame, yet he still longed for his other half. Seeing him distressed, Liam stepped forward, holding his face, forcing him to face himself. The Pearl saw Liam's tears and quickly wiped them away. "Don't cry, smile." Liam held his hand. "Sorry to keep you waiting."
I've come to take the remaining half of you out of my body. Titus only wanted to hold him tightly.
But his body passed through Liam, while his hand still held the Pearl inside Liam. Liam saw this scene.
Unsure if he was hallucinating from lack of oxygen, yet he felt the fullness of love. Immediately, a golden light burst forth. Titus released Liam. When Titus released him, he saw Liam's eyes tightly shut and didn't dare check for any signs of life. Only when Liam coughed and slowly opened his eyes did Titus allow his spirit to return. He held Liam tightly.
"Thank you, Liam. Thank you for still being alive." Liam gently patted his back. "Release me quickly. I can barely breathe." Titus hurriedly let go. "Does anything feel uncomfortable? Is your vision blurred or any numbness?" Liam stroked his face, reassuring him. "I'm fine."
Nothing hurt.
"Don't worry or be afraid anymore. Everything is okay now. The Pearl is complete. From now on, misfortune will be as fleeting as breath. But you'll become a dragon, right?"
Titus shook his head. "I think I'll still be human."
"But now with the complete Pearl, I don't know how to define myself."
One thing's certain. There will be no more suffering. Liam smiled. Then what will we do from now on?
Titus gazed afar, full of desire.
As long as we live happily together, that's enough. Just thinking about it.
Liam felt full of happiness and hugged Titus tightly. But Titus began to cry, overwhelmed with emotion, unable to restrain his tears. He let Liam hold him while crying for half a day, like a child finally learning to express emotions after years of accumulation. After overcoming countless hardships, they finally embraced a happy ending. A human and a serpent could finally be together. Upon returning, they moved into the wedding apartment Titus had prepared early that morning. Henry and the tattooed neighbor came to congratulate them. "Why suddenly? Don't you need me as a lucky charm anymore?" Liam told them everything. Both couldn't believe it. The tattooed man thought the method they used was absurd. How could it possibly succeed? "But this dragon isn't as fierce as I thought," Henry said, intrigued. "You've always wanted to become a dragon, right?" "Try it out," the tattooed neighbor was furious. "Can you be serious? Your lover was swallowed. How could they naturally fall from the sky?" Henry immediately volunteered. "I'll do it. I really like you." The tattooed man was horrified. "As long as it's a reptile, you like it all." Even Liam didn't expect the two of them to have such antics. Could the tattooed neighbor do it too? Titus looked at them thinking. With his current physique, swallowing a person seemed difficult. Henry didn't give up. "No, I'll go pray to the mountain spirit." But who could find the mountain spirit now? At least it still existed. The tattooed man hastily changed the topic. "Now that you're in the new room, what will you do in the future?" "Still want to work with monsters?" Liam answered. "I'm just on leave, haven't quit yet." "Of course, I still need to work," the tattooed man grumbled. How could Titus let you go to work? Liam didn't understand why Titus didn't stop him. The next day, Titus took Liam to the company after a long absence. Waiting for the elevator and greeting colleagues felt both strange and exciting, like the first day of work. When the elevator doors opened, Titus stood inside. Colleagues greeted him normally. "Good morning, team leader." Liam was stunned, not understanding why colleagues weren't afraid of someone who had died and come back. At that moment, Titus quietly held Liam's hand.
He immediately realized that this python had once again abused his magical power. Liam truly loved his work. In the morning, as he left the house, his conversation was all about work, just a few sentences, and it already made Titus feel overwhelmed. He was the type of person who only felt comfortable after kissing,
hugging, or being close physically, so Liam had to go to the office first to keep him happy. Their relationship was still not public. Titus wanted to make it official, but Liam refused. As for why they went to work together every day, Liam said, because it's convenient to go with the team leader, so they shared a car, which naturally surprised their office colleagues. Today, near the end of the workday, a colleague panicked, "There's a problem!
We have to submit the plan today!"
But Liam also had a client meeting. Without a second thought, Titus handed the task to Liam. Though Liam had some doubts about this approach, he continued working, waiting for everyone to leave. He would have to stay late, possibly until midnight. At that moment, Liam received a message from the team leader. "Come to my office for a moment." Liam thought he had already left, but unexpectedly, he was still in the office. Titus had Liam sit at his desk.
Liam examined the documents and found that the plan had already been completed.
Even more comprehensively than he had intended. Honestly, Liam thought Titus was angry, since he always wanted to keep their relationship secret. But Titus deliberately teased him. "You think I'm upset, so I made you work overtime?"
Liam hurriedly denied it. Titus cleared his throat, hiding a smile. "You're adorable."
"I don't mind our secret dating at work. Besides, seeing you scared and shy is quite amusing. And now I have an excuse to keep you here, doing what I want in the office. This place is definitely more fun than home." Liam genuinely felt he was right. Back when he secretly liked Titus, Liam had imagined this office. But how could Titus bear to forbid it? In truth, Liam had no actual memory of it. It was just imagining being with him, but now Titus always wanted to pin him onto his desk. A golden lizard had lived for 100 years, but recently it had been kept by someone with a problematic mind. If it weren't for this person feeding and caring for it properly, it would have bitten them to death long ago, unexpectedly. This person craved its body. While sleeping, Henry was awakened by the tattooed man. "Just what do you think you're doing?" he asked, annoyed. The tattooed man replied matter-of-factly, "Who told you not to go out until I finished my work?" Henry froze. "How does your finishing work involve me?"
Seeing Henry angry, the tattooed man hurriedly corrected himself. "Isn't it because you changed your mealtime?"
"That's why I called." Henry then noticed the meal on the table. He transformed into a small lizard and dove into the food. Seeing the tattooed man standing nearby, he felt extremely satisfied.
"He's not raising me, just can't resist his hospitality." The tattooed man didn't mind.
He even found the small lizard adorable. Moreover, it could talk and transform into a human. "But what exactly are you? There's no lizard like you here, and you don't even eat insects." Henry replied, "Of course I wasn't born here." The tattooed man immediately changed tone. "Then where were you born?" Henry rolled his eyes. "I'm a lizard." "How should I know?" The tattooed man persisted.
"You're not an ordinary lizard. You can turn into a human." Henry began recounting his past. "I wasn't born able to transform like this.
I had to work very hard.
From the moment I hatched, I was an ordinary lizard. No parents, no companions. By day I hid, by night I hunted. One day I met a beautiful female. My heart trembled. I wanted to approach her, but no matter what I did, she ignored me. But she didn't hate me either, so I kept following. Then one day, she looked at me differently. I thought spring had come, but at that moment, I was stepped on, and I saw another lizard behind her. My heart shattered. I climbed a cliff to mourn my first love, only to be snatched by a bird. So I experienced heartbreak before I even began. The tattooed man didn't know how to console him, not to mention the language. It was probably too small for her to notice. Yet you still got upset, and a parrot took it away." Henry glanced at him. "The parrot was taken by its owner." "That's how I was saved, but happiness didn't last." Soon the ship sank. Henry drifted on a piece of wood. All the food ran out. Luckily, a food strap helped him avoid birds and direct sunlight. Eventually, he was so hungry, he was skin and bones, unable to move. When he opened his eyes, he saw a shining deer. The deer lifted him,
fed him, and then unexpectedly transformed into a young man. This person gave him warm water and fruit, and from then on, Henry lived with him. The tattooed man curiously asked,
"Was this young man like the mountain spirit?"
Henry shook his head.
"No, the mountain spirit is someone cultivating to ascend."
This deer was much more formidable. Everything I had came from it. Henry saw the tattooed man silent for a while, so he stepped closer and prompted, "Why aren't you saying anything?" The tattooed man clearly didn't believe such a grim outcome. Surely the deer spirit ascended, leaving you alone. Henry angrily threw food at the tattooed man, tears welling up.
"I hate you!"
He then hid under the table, refusing to come out even when the tattooed man apologized. At that moment, the phone rang. The tattooed man hadn't calmed Henry yet and was annoyed to answer. Someone was calling at this hour, leaving Liam confused on the other end. It turned out Liam and the others had found the mountain spirit. Knowing the tattooed man was searching for it too, they sent a message to notify him.
Moreover, the mountain spirit's condition was very poor. Henry immediately crawled out and asked Liam to send them pictures. Seeing the mountain spirit,
the tattooed man and everyone else were stunned. Soon, the two went into the mountains. Because of the tattooed man's strong luck,
the mountain spirit was placed in his arms and indeed began to recover. Seeing this, Henry acted arrogantly toward the tattooed man,
making Liam curious. What's going on?
The tattooed man was not pleased.
Just being a little stubborn, dangerously so. Hearing this, Henry immediately became furious, ready to go all out. Luckily,
the mountain spirit regained consciousness,
and everyone focused. The mountain spirit knew Henry could not ascend. The tattooed man then considered Henry as the next mountain spirit. The old mountain spirit was too weak to control the demons in the mountain. Thankfully, a python temporarily helped, but before the spirit waned,
a new mountain spirit was needed to protect the mountain. Thus,
the mountain spirit asked for the tattooed man's
help. Only someone with strong luck could
find it. The tattooed man was astonished. Even
elementary students wouldn't dare lie to him like that. The mountain spirit
also knew the request was extreme, but time was short. Previously,
the mountain spirit had trained 2 successors,
but due to environment and humans, they both died.
Now no new trainees could be trained. If they could find a long-lived, kind-hearted beast willing to accept the mountain's spiritual energy,
it would suffice. But most creatures living long in the mountain were extinct, so the only option was to find someone with good luck to search around the mountain. Liam also wanted to persuade the tattooed man to help the mountain spirit, but he looked hesitant. Seeing this, the mountain spirit said sadly, "You owe me nothing, gain nothing from me. This request is indeed extreme." The tattooed man quickly explained, "I'm just helping the elder find things. It's not hard, I agree." But he's still worried. The mountain spirit doesn't know where the next one is. "Will I have to come here regularly?" The mountain spirit confirmed, "Yes, your luck is needed, once every half-month." The tattooed man said, "That's not enough. I'll come once a week." He also asked, "Is living long and being kind enough?" The mountain spirit nodded. The tattooed man immediately grabbed Henry. "Let's see if you can become the mountain spirit." Henry was furious.
"Why me?"
Liam whispered into the tattooed man's ear. "Shouldn't we choose a native species?"
The tattooed man was unsure. "I guess it doesn't have to be strict." The mountain spirit said, "Maybe it's a good idea."
"Though he's not fully qualified, as long as he sincerely protects the mountain, I can treat him as the mountain spirit of the neighboring mountain." Even so, it wouldn't be easy for Henry. But the tattooed man ignored his objections and decided, "Then it's decided." Henry couldn't quite understand his own feelings. In his previous life, he hadn't wanted to become the mountain spirit, so he sulked at the tattooed man and refused to go home with him. "You're not letting me become the mountain spirit? If I don't stay here, how am I supposed to protect this place?"
The tattooed man was furious, itching to scold him. "Just wait! You better turn into human form. That way I can find you more easily." Henry was completely bewildered,
feeling abandoned in the midst of the mountain wilderness. Moreover, the python returned, and seeing the two of them cling to each other in front of him made Henry's heart ache. Unexpectedly, by evening, that fool even carried a huge pile of supplies up the mountain. The tattooed man asked curiously,
What are you doing? Is there some disaster or accident you're avoiding by going up the mountain?
Sighing, he flopped onto the ground. You want to stay up on the mountain? Fine, I've bought everything you might need. What about the other two? Henry asked. They've already gone, the tattooed man replied. Henry began complaining again. I'm exhausted. Mountain climbing isn't for me, and the gear is way too expensive. The tattooed man was displeased.
I already told you to go home. If you don't like climbing, why did you want to come here in the first place?
Isn't it because I was worried about you? You're weak, picky with food, clumsy. How could I feel at ease leaving you alone on a mountain?
After speaking, he tossed a sleeping bag at him.
I bought this properly, and you treat it like it's useless.
Henry looked at his expression, clearly not wanting to engage, and sighed helplessly. What exactly do you want? Do you see me as a pet? The tattooed man denied it. You think I worry about you just because you're small and cute?
I just felt sorry for the things you said before. Things that unintentionally made me sad. That's why I care. And here on this mountain, who knows what dangers there might be? I have to make sure you're safe first. I don't even understand why I'm so concerned about you, so don't ask anymore. At this point,
the tattooed man didn't even know how to express his emotions after a while.
Henry asked, Do you remember when I said that? Because I was attacked by a fox. The deer started teaching me to cultivate. Do you want to know what happened after that? I'll tell you everything.
Back then, Henry thought that if he transformed into human form, he could live alongside the deer forever.
But unexpectedly, a fox ruined everything. At first, the fox approached him intentionally or by accident. But Henry paid little attention. One day, while washing clothes by the river,
the fox appeared. I heard your master saved a girl.
Are you washing clothes for her? I never said anything.
My friend has cultivated for a long time, already ascended. Someone so good shouldn't have left me behind. Henry refused to heed the fox's coaxing and shooed it away. One day, when he found a large fruit to eat, the fox appeared again. I'm curious. Why are you always searching for food? Jack doesn't need to eat at all. Or maybe you heard the voice of heaven and became human to cultivate. Henry clearly understood the difference between himself and Jack, but didn't dare face the truth. He hid in a cave, yet the fox persisted. Do you want to hear a story about my best friend?
He once said that to ascend to the heavens, you must love humans and understand all the complexities of human hearts to gain heaven's approval. But for demons like us, it's useless. Your master is about to ascend, right?
The one he seeks, isn't that his soulmate?
If so, then it's just you left alone. How miserable! Henry refused to accept it. I'll ascend to immortality too! The fox immediately sneered. How dare you say that?
You're just a long-lived demon.
Your master doesn't need to eat. Can you survive? Have you heard heaven's decree? I told you clearly. Yet you still pretend not to know? Henry didn't believe the fox's words. He decided to ask his master himself whether he was doomed to remain a demon, never able to ascend. Meanwhile, Jack noticed Henry hadn't returned for a long time and went to find him. Where have you been?
Why are you only back now?
Did someone bully you?
Why are you in such a state?
Henry didn't believe the fox.
He had to find Jack to clarify. Is it true you can't ascend?
Is it because I'm too weak? Or were your past praises just lies?
Once you ascend, will you leave me behind?
Am I destined to be an immortal demon, alone in this endless life, with no hope? Facing Henry's accusations, Jack didn't know what to say. Henry became even more upset. He just wanted to escape from Jack, preferring to vanish from the world rather than continue cultivating with him. He ran into a cave, letting his body fall and buried his face in the ground. Crying bitterly, suddenly a hand rested on his back. Henry shouted angrily, "Why did you follow me here?" The figure behind him hugged him tightly.
I won't leave you alone.
You don't know how much I love you. At the same time, that hand reached inside his clothes.
Henry immediately reacted. No.
Jack would never do this to me.
He pushed the person away forcefully, only to realize it was the cursed fox. The fox, unbothered by being discovered, laughed maniacally. You're so stupid.
Just a few words and you made Jack angry. Now, if I eat you, will that noble deity die?
Henry curled up in fear.
He wasn't afraid of death. He feared that his death would make Jack sad. At that moment, he regretted teasing the fox from the start.
Jack wouldn't have blamed it if he'd been hurt.
But the fox now hated Jack, What happened next was unbearable. Jack appeared like a god and struck the fox away. This wasn't a divine tale punishing demons. The killing caused Jack to lose the right to become a god and face heaven's punishment. In the end,
Jack still left behind the one he loved most, leaving Henry forever alone.
in this world, Henry and Jack ultimately shared such a tragic ending. Jack's spirit vanished,
Leaving Henry in unbearable pain. During the long immortal years,
Henry didn't know how he endured the tattooed man deeply, regretted having been curious about Henry's past. Henry needn't have recalled those painful memories. The tattooed man.
quietly crawled over and hugged Henry tightly. Henry was stunned.
What are you doing? The tattooed man said, From now on, don't call me the tattooed man.
Call me a bastard if you like.
I shouldn't have forced you to face your wounds.
I'm truly sorry. Henry was speechless.
Then what does hugging me have to do with that? Solemnly, the tattooed man replied, I find my chest the perfect place for you to bury yourself and cry. Cry if you want, tell your story, and I'll listen. Hearing this, Henry's eyes instantly watered. Perfect to bury myself and cry. What does that even mean? From then on, the tattooed man didn't understand what Henry was thinking.
He followed him all day, ignoring even his clients. You don't hate trouble.
You're only doing this because you pity me, right?
Henry immediately denied it. You think I'm lonely?
I also have human friends, only they're too old, long gone.
You won't have illusions about being my first friend anymore. The tattooed man was speechless. Child, listen.
The old man just passed away. I don't even know which friend of mine that was.
Yet you worry about an old man like me. How precious. The tattooed man blushed angrily. Don't use a teasing tone with me, and don't pose like that.
Henry calmly replied, By age, I'm indeed old, but why is your face so red?
The tattooed man, furious,
Couldn't bear it and threw water at Henry's face. Henry, soaked, was annoyed, and the tattooed man burst out laughing. Henry angrily threw him into the water. The tattooed man coughed violently.
Before he could get mad again, he saw Henry smiling, then suddenly appearing sad. I know, if this continues, we'd probably become friends. But I don't want that. I don't want to go through such pain again.
Even if you live 100 years, for me, it's just a fleeting moment. Losing those dear to me, being left alone in this world. It hurts too much, so go home. Don't try to get close to me anymore. The tattooed man intended to find a gecko to make his wife. But before he even had a chance to confess,
He was immediately rejected. Sitting in the car,
he grew increasingly frustrated. Gritting his teeth,
he ran back up the mountain to find Henry. Henry looked at him in surprise. Why are you climbing up here in the middle of the night?
the tattooed man hurriedly said, Just hear me out. I'm not worried about you, because I see you as some storage for my things. Even though you say you don't need me to care, what else am I supposed to do?
I can't stop thinking about you.
Even if you have other friends, I can't feel at ease leaving you alone on the mountain. Hearing this, Henry couldn't help feeling annoyed. I don't feel lonely.
I'm used to being alone.
You don't need to worry.
Just go back.
If you don't, I can go by myself. The tattooed man quickly stepped forward and hugged him tightly. Clearly,
You're afraid of insects, yet you still want to be alone on the mountain. Henry was speechless. Are you planning to eliminate every insect on the mountain? Why are you hugging me so tightly?
I can barely breathe, the tattooed man said. I'm afraid you'll run away. Henry kept reassuring him. I'm not going anywhere, but the tattooed man still wouldn't let go. Look at you, so thin. If I applied even a little force, your waist could break. Your skin is so soft, just a slight brush would leave scratches. How can I feel at ease leaving such a fragile life behind? Henry, hearing such illogical words, suddenly caught a scent. What's that fragrance? And why is your heartbeat so fast? He tried to pull away from the tattooed man's arms, but the tattooed man didn't care. Closing his eyes, Henry felt his lips so soft that
He finally managed to breathe for a moment. Something is pressing against my stomach. The tattooed man didn't answer directly. I like men. So what now?
Do you find it disgusting? Henry was about to explode. That's not the point.
First, let me go. Stop getting aroused randomly.
The tattooed man was frustrated. Why are you whining?
Haven't I barely had time to take care of myself these past few days? Because I had to take care of you. Henry felt deeply wronged. At first, you insisted on taking me home, and now you came running to find me again. The tattooed man didn't want to let Henry make him angry.
Fine, I'll go handle it a bit. Henry objected. What exactly are you going to imagine this time? The tattooed man rolled his eyes. Still asking? Of course it's your mouth. After all, it's the culprit behind all of this. Henry, furious, swung his fist and punched the tattooed man directly.